Hello, everyone. I'm Mr.Graveveil. I want to tell you a horror story. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready for a story you've never heard before. I always preferred driving at night. The roads are quieter, the air feels heavier, and the headlights slicing through the darkness give me a weird sense of focus. It was supposed to be a simple overnight drive, just me and Jake, crossing 3 states to get to his cousin's cabin in Colorado. We left around 11:30 p.m., stocked up on snacks, loaded a few playlists, and hit the highway with that false confidence that comes when you think nothing can go wrong. The first few hours were fine. Empty gas stations, long stretches without seeing a single car. We joked around, talked about dumb stuff from high school, and argued over which gas station coffee tasted the least like chemicals. Nothing seemed off, not yet. Somewhere past 3 a.m., Jake started to nod off in the passenger seat, and I lowered the volume of the music. That's when I noticed the air had changed. Colder, somehow. Thicker. I checked the dashboard. It wasn't the AC. We hadn't even touched it. Didn't think much of it then, but looking back, maybe that was the moment everything started to shift. We pulled into a gas station just before mile marker 45. It was one of those old places that look like they haven't changed since the 80s. The flickering overhead lights cast long shadows across the concrete, and the place was dead quiet. No other cars, no music, just the buzz of the sign struggling to stay lit. Jake got out to stretch while I pumped gas. Inside, the attendant barely looked up from his magazine. His shirt was stained, and he looked like he hadn't spoken to anyone in days. "You heading west?" he asked, not even meeting my eyes. "Yeah," I said. "Cabin trip." He nodded slowly. "Don't stop past marker 45. I laughed, assuming it was some local joke, maybe about sketchy wildlife or bad cell service. But he didn't laugh with me, just stared, as if he was waiting for me to take it seriously. "You'll know it when you get there," he said. "People don't mean to stop. They just do." I didn't know what that meant. Still don't, but we left without asking more questions. And that was our mistake. We passed mile marker 45 without thinking much of it. The road was a black ribbon stretching endlessly under the high beams, and Jake had fallen asleep again. I kept driving, half lost in my own thoughts, half hypnotized by the rhythm of the white lines flashing under us. Somewhere between markers 46 and 47, the engine sputtered. It was subtle, at first just a hesitation, like the car coughed. Then everything went quiet. No music, no fan, not even the rumble of the tires. The dashboard lights blinked once, then died. The car coasted to a stop. Right at mile marker 47, I tried the ignition. Nothing, just a dull click. Jake woke up groggy, asking what happened. I told him the car died, but I didn't mention the marker. It felt off. Like naming it gave it weight. We both checked our phones. No signal, not even one bar. The silence outside was overwhelming. No wind, no insects, no passing cars. Just darkness pressing in from every side. Then a pair of headlights appeared far down the road, slowly approaching. A truck, maybe. For a moment, I felt relief, until it passed us. Without slowing down, we sat there, waiting, watching the red taillights of the truck disappear into the horizon like it had never seen us, like we weren't even there. Jake started getting anxious, pacing near the shoulder. I stayed in the car, headlights off, engine dead, trying to figure out what made the vehicle shut down so suddenly. Nothing added up. Then I saw movement. Someone was walking toward us along the road, just outside the reach of the moonlight. No car, no flashlight, just a figure moving at a steady pace, step after step. Jake didn't see him at first. I called out, low and firm, but he kept pacing, too worked up to notice. The figure stopped about 30 feet away. He was tall, wearing something dark and oversized, like a coat that didn't belong to him. I couldn't see his face, only the shape of it, pale and motionless. Then he spoke, calm, almost friendly. "You got a problem with your car?" His tone didn't match the situation. Too casual, too smooth. Jake froze. I stepped out slowly, every nerve screaming. Something about that man. He wasn't out of place. We were. I was about 2 hours from home, just past 2 a.m., when I saw her. She was standing on the shoulder of Route 19, illuminated in flashes by the yellow hazard lights blinking on my dashboard. At first, I thought she was just another stranded driver. Maybe her car broke down. But there was no vehicle nearby. Just her, barefoot, one hand holding her side like she was hurt. I slowed down, unsure. It was a quiet stretch, no other cars, no lights beyond the moon, and something about the way she stood, too still, too calm, made my gut tighten. But she raised her other hand, flagged me down, and I stopped. She walked up to the window, eyes wide and glassy. "Please," she said. "He tried to kill me. I got away. I just need a ride to somewhere with people." Her voice was hoarse, like she'd been screaming not long ago. There was blood on her shirt, dried and flaking. I hesitated, heart pounding, but opened the door. She got in without looking back, buckled herself in like it was just another night, and said, "Don't go back that way." I didn't ask what she meant. I just started driving. She sat in silence for the first few minutes, staring straight ahead. I kept glancing at her from the corner of my eye. She looked composed, too composed. After a while, I asked what happened. Her answer came too quickly, like she'd already rehearsed it. She said she had been hitchhiking with a guy who turned violent, that he drove her into the woods, beat her, and she barely escaped when he stopped to use the bathroom at a rest stop. But then, 10 minutes later, she mentioned being pulled out of a car trunk. Not a rest stop, not even the same tone of voice. I pretended not to notice. She said she was from Nevada, but earlier she mentioned her apartment in St. Paul. It was like listening to someone tell 3 stories at once, picking pieces from each one, hoping I wouldn't notice the cracks. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and drove. She noticed my unease, smiled slightly and said, "You don't believe me." I said nothing, because I wasn't sure what I believed. She leaned her head against the window and whispered, "You're safe. I'm not the one you should be afraid of." But the more she talked, the more that felt like a lie. I spotted the gas station from the highway, just one flickering light above the pumps and an old neon sign that buzzed like a dying insect. I figured I'd fill the tank, maybe get a clearer look at her under real lighting. She stayed in the car while I stepped inside. The clerk looked half asleep until he saw me. Then he saw her. He stood up straight. His expression tightened. "Where'd you pick her up?" he asked, not casually, more like a warning. "On Route 19, I said. "She said someone tried to kill her." His eyes stayed locked on the car. "She's been here before," he muttered, "twice." That stopped me cold. "What do you mean?" He shook his head, grabbed a small slip of paper, and scribbled something on it. Slid it across the counter. "Check her bag when you get the chance," he said, voice low. "Just check." I stepped back outside, heart pounding. She looked up at me and smiled, like she knew something I didn't. I didn't ask questions. I just handed her a bottle of water, filled the tank, and got us back on the road. But I kept thinking about what the clerk said, and why he looked afraid. She asked to use the bathroom a few miles after the gas station. I pulled over near a closed diner with outdoor restrooms. She took her bag with her, slung it over her shoulder like it weighed nothing. When she vanished around the corner, I moved fast. I reached into the back seat and unzipped the bag. It wasn't locked. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Metallic, sharp. Inside, a change of clothes, some cash, a broken flip phone with dried blood on the screen, and a wallet. Not hers. A man's ID was tucked inside. His name was Ethan Kroos. I didn't recognize the face, but the photo looked recent. The leather of the wallet was sticky. There were red smears on the edges, like it had been wiped down poorly. Then I saw the knife, folded neatly into a side pouch, wrapped in a t-shirt, long, thin, dark-stained. I heard footsteps crunching gravel. She was coming back. I shoved everything back in, zipped the bag, and sat up just as she opened the door. She looked at me, eyes calm. "All good?" I nodded, forcing a smile. My hands were shaking. She leaned back in her seat and closed her eyes. I kept driving, my mind racing, because now I had to decide what was worse, believing her story or the truth I just touched with my own hands. We drove in silence for the next 30 miles. She didn't speak, didn't move, just stared out the window like she was watching for something in the dark. I wanted to confront her, to ask about the ID, the knife, the blood, but what was I going to say? What if I was wrong? Or worse, what if I was right? I considered pulling into a police station, but I didn't even know where the nearest one was. And if she saw me trying to change course, what would she do? I couldn't shake the image of that blade. Eventually, she spoke. Her voice was soft, thoughtful. "You ever pick someone up and realize too late you made a mistake?" I swallowed. "Yeah," I said. "Something like that." She turned to look at me then, really looked. "It's not about what they tell you," she said. "It's what they don't." She smiled, not wide, just enough to twist my stomach. Then she leaned back, closed her eyes again, and whispered, "Don't worry, you're not my type." I didn't respond, I just kept driving. But I haven't slept since that night. Not really, because every time I think about her, I wonder if she got out of the car before I did. We'd been driving for hours, cutting across dusty highways between states, trying to reach the next town before sunrise. It was just me and Theo, trading shifts behind the wheel, keeping ourselves awake with terrible gas station coffee and worse playlists. Around 12:40 a.m., we pulled off to grab a bite at one of those late-night diners where the waitstaff look half ghost and the lights hum like they're tired of shining. The only other person inside was an old man hunched over a bowl of chili. His eyes followed us the second we walked in. Theo made a joke about horror movies, how this is exactly the kind of place where someone warns you about a curse or a killer before you ignore them and die screaming. We laughed, but the old man didn't. As we paid, he spoke. "You boys driven west tonight?" Theo nodded. "Yeah, why?" The man didn't blink. "Stay off Route 60 past midnight. There's a man out there. Doesn't want company." I tried to smile politely, appreciate the warning. He just shook his head, slow. "You won't believe it till you hear him breathing behind you." We left, still laughing as we got back in the car. But about 40 minutes later, neither of us was laughing. We got back on Route 60, still making fun of the diner guy. Theo did an exaggerated raspy whisper. You'll hear him breathing, and we both cracked up. But a few miles later, the road began to change. The music cut out first. Static, then silence. I checked my phone, no signal. Theo tried his too. Same thing. No bars, no data, not even GPS. Just the blue arrow frozen on a dark screen. The road ahead stretched like a black ribbon through the hills. No headlights in the distance. No taillights ahead. No signs. No exits. Just endless pavement, and that creeping feeling in the back of your mind that says you missed something you shouldn't have. The temperature dropped. We didn't touch the AC, but the windshield started to fog up. Theo wiped it down with his sleeve and muttered, "This doesn't feel right, man." We drove another 10 minutes in silence. Then we saw it. A single crow perched on a mile marker post, still watching. It didn't fly away as we passed. That's when I realized we hadn't seen a single car in over an hour. Theo turned to me and said, "I think that guy back there was serious." I didn't answer. I was too busy checking the rearview mirror. It showed up without warning. 1 second the road behind us was empty, and the next, there it was, massive headlights flooding the back window. Too bright, too close. A semi-truck, all chrome and shadows, bearing down without sound. No engine noise, no hum of tires. Just light and motion. Theo squinted into the mirror. Where the hell did that come from? I slowed a little, let it pass. But it didn't. It stayed behind us, not tailgating, not overtaking, just mirroring our speed. If I sped up, it did too. If I slowed down, same thing. For 20 minutes, it hung back exactly 2 car lengths behind us. Theo started getting jittery. Maybe signal a lane change, see if it reacts. I flicked the blinker left. The truck veered left with me. We switched back. So did it. It wasn't random. We took the next off-ramp, a narrow exit toward an old service road. The truck followed, still silent, still perfect in pace, like it was hurting us somewhere. "No way this is normal," Theo muttered. "This guy's playing with us." I didn't answer, because that was when I noticed something that made my chest tighten. The front cab was dark, too dark. There was no one visible behind the wheel. We pulled into a rest stop that looked like it hadn't seen traffic since the 90s, one flickering light above a cracked vending machine and 2 bathroom doors with peeling paint. The truck rolled in behind us and stopped at the far end of the lot, but no one got out. We killed the engine and sat in silence, watching. Theo whispered, "What the hell is he waiting for?" I opened the glove box, grabbed the flashlight. My fingers were shaking. Let's just wait it out. Maybe he'll leave. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then we heard it. Not from the truck, but from the trees just beyond the edge of the lot. Heavy, deliberate footsteps moving in a wide arc around us. Slow, calculated. Theo and I ducked low in the seats, trying not to breathe. The footsteps stopped, then started again, closer, always in the brush, never fully visible. I flashed the light toward the forest, and something reflected it back. Not eyes, metal, a blade. Theo hissed, "We have to go." But the car wouldn't start. Just a click, then nothing. I looked toward the truck. The cab was still dark, but the driver's side door was now open. Theo ran. I wanted to follow, but my legs wouldn't move. I watched him disappear down the highway into the dark, while I stayed frozen in the car, like prey pretending to be invisible. Then I heard breathing. Not mine, not Theo's. It was deep and slow, right outside the passenger window. I didn't look. I couldn't. A hand slapped the glass hard, and I finally moved. I shoved the door open and bolted into the woods behind the rest stop. Branches tore at my face. Thorns ripped my jacket, but I kept running. I didn't stop until my lungs gave out and my legs collapsed beneath me. I lay in the dirt for what felt like hours, shaking, trying to listen past the blood pounding in my ears. When I crawled back to the road, the truck was gone. Theo was gone, and the sun was starting to rise. I never reported it. What was I going to say? That a ghost truck chased us down a forgotten highway? That something hunted us? Sometimes when I close my eyes, I still hear the way the trees went quiet, the way the breathing circled the car. There's a man who hunts travelers after midnight, I didn't believe it either. Not until he hunted us. If you've ever gone through something similar, or know someone who has, leave a comment below. Sometimes just telling it is already a way to protect yourself. And if this video made you think twice before letting your guard down, then it was already worth it. Here, we don't tell stories to entertain. We tell them to warn. Because real fear doesn't jump scare you. It silences. It freezes. And if you want to keep hearing stories that might help keep you alive, subscribe. The next story could be yours.